Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. C4G talks about Gothic 3 again. Wow, what a big surprise. Gothic 3 is one of my most favorite games ever, and you probably know that if you're following my channel for a while. In the most recent video I did about Gothic 3, I talked about how well it aged and some very impressive features for such an old game. However, it's well known that Gothic 3 was plagued with technical issues and the game felt unfinished in many areas. The amazing Gothic community managed to fix 90% of technical issues over the years, with some huge unofficial patches for the game. Those patches eventually became official, kinda, because both GOG and Steam versions of the game have these patches available. But despite the huge effort of the community team, some of the technical issues with the game still prevailed. They managed to fix all the bugs and glitches, but the stutters and long loading times were apparently unfixable. No matter how strong of a PC you have, you would always experience some very annoying stutters that could potentially ruin your whole experience with this game. And over the years, I saw a ton of comments about the stuttering and how many people can't get into this game because of these issues. But in the late December of 2021, seemingly out of nowhere, a patch came out that almost completely fixed the stuttering issues. Gothic 3 Parallel Universe patch optimizes and replaces inefficient parts of the Gothic 3 engine, which cause stuttering and long loading times. This was kinda mind-blowing to me because I was convinced that those issues would never get resolved. But that's not even the most impressive thing about this whole situation. The team behind this patch has been actively working on a Gothic 3 project for over 12 years. And by the looks of things, it seems like we finally have a real chance to get a finished version of this open world RPG. Wait, what the hell are you doing in my video, dude?
Hey, what about my world?
Why, what's wrong with it? You look like you came from a childish game or something.
That is not true. Hero Wars has vibrant graphics, cool gameplay, and a user-friendly interface.
Let's give it a try, I guess.
Yeah, tell them more about it.
Hero Wars is an online fantasy RPG available on Android and iOS devices. In Hero Wars, everyone can find a character that suits them. We have cyborgs, aliens, vampires, and even furries. Won't be disappointed. For example, Chaba is an awesome tank who literally devours his enemies. But Celeste is a real S-tier hero. She can switch between a DPS dark form and a healer light form, which makes her useful in any situation. This is a game that you can play everywhere or while doing anything, even while playing something else, why not? It's very easy to get into, but assembling a perfect team of heroes is an art in itself. To give you an example, Mojo the Shaman can heal Darkstar the Elf as efficiently as the good grandma Martha can, while the Slow Cleaver makes a great pair with the Swift Isaac. Hero Wars has 6 unique modes, more than 300 Guild Wars servers and 100 million players. You can play alone or see who among you and your friends is the top dog. You will get 30,000 coins, 600 emeralds, and 5 awesome heroes to start dominating in Hero Wars right away if you download the game right now. Make sure to use the link in the description or scan the QR code you see on the screen. Play Hero Wars now. CSP, or Community Story Project, aims to improve and extend some lackluster parts of Gothic 3, especially the story. But that's far from being the only thing which this gigantic project is trying to do. First of all, some people who already heard about this project a long time ago might be a bit skeptical. I mean, it's been almost 13 years since the announcement of the project and we are still waiting for the release. But here's the thing, this project is not being funded in any shape or form. The work is done voluntarily and free of charge by the members of the Community Story team. These people obviously love Gothic games and they work on the project in their free time. I think they deserve nothing but respect because this is basically a passion project. Every once in a while we can see some videos with various things they're working on and they have a very nice website that you can check out. In this video I'm going to show you what I personally found the most interesting about this whole project, starting with the return of the chapters. CSP will reintroduce chapters in the game. Gothic 3 is pretty much the only game from Piranha Bytes which didn't have chapters. Chapters are one of the staples of Piranha Bytes game design, and I'm pretty sure Gothic 3 would have chapters if Piranha Bytes actually managed to finish the game. CSP wants to improve the main story by giving it a clear structure, so it's logical to bring the chapters back. The game is going to have 6 chapters, and each of them will take place in a different area of the map. For example, you start the game in Ardea, just like in the original Gothic 3. The first chapter takes place in Montera, Gotha and Faring, and then you move on to Normar when you reach the second chapter. The whole second chapter is supposedly going to take place in Normar. However, that by itself won't do much for the main story. The main story in Gothic 3 is pretty bare bones, and it's easily one of the weakest parts of the game. This is something that I talked about in my retrospective video as well. CSP plans to give the main story a bit more structure with the chapters, but they also want to expand the story in a couple of ways. Their goal is not to create an alternative sequel to Gothic 2, but to improve the original game by Piranha Bytes. And if you ask me, that statement is actually really important. It basically means they won't try to do anything crazy that would feel out of place. For example, they plan to close some gaps in logic and unfinished plots like the pirates by implementing interesting and thrilling turns in the story. We are supposedly going to have more influence on the world than in any Gothic game before, and those are some big words. We can expect to see a lot of new NPCs in various places on the map and new quests, of course. Remember how the game begins by freeing Ardea from the orcs, by the way? Well, in CSP, if you choose to play as an orc mercenary, you'll have the option to reconquest Ardea, and once again, it can be controlled by the orcs. Speaking of orcs, the factions in general will have some major improvements, especially when it comes to lesser factions like rangers, nomads and Normarians. We won't be able to join them, but they will have optional side quests. According to CSP team, we can forge alliances with them or fight them for a main faction. The main factions are of course the rebels, orcs and Hashishins. But that's not all, we'll have the option to join the pirates, bandits and another not yet revealed side faction. So yeah, that's some very exciting stuff if you ask me.
Leave me alone.
Another major focus of CSP development is the overhaul of the cities in Gothic 3. The story writers of CSP created their own concept for every settlement. Numerous new NPCs will be implemented and offer dialogues as well as side quests. Sometimes they'll even be the part of the main or faction quests. The part I found the most interesting about this is the connection between the settlements. I don't know what exactly they mean by this, but the goal of connecting different settlements is to make the world more vivid and credible and not only a scenery, according to CSP team. They hope this helps the players to build up a real emotional attachment to these places. To be honest, I already did that the first time I played the game, but I'm really curious to see the final result of the settlements. If we take a look at some of the footage that CSP team published on their YouTube channel, we can see some amazing scenes of different places and how they changed. For example, the video for the capital Vanguard has some great scenes. In this video, the city looks like it has been completely rebuilt. Some of the rooms from the King's Robar Palace seem to have the mix of two visual styles, from Gothic 2 and 3 I mean. Judging from the comments, some people are not that happy with this version of Vanguard because, after all, there is a war going on. So it makes sense for the capital to be in ruins like in the original game, but I'm willing to bet that this has to do something with how the story is presented in CSP. Like I mentioned before, the chapters are back, and I guess that has to do something with this version of Vanguard. I highly doubt that the ruined version of Vanguard is going to be completely eliminated from the story. But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Then we have the monastery, which received a huge overhaul. We can now explore the catacombs, and we're probably going to have some quests that are specifically related to this place. As you can probably tell, this part of the monastery looks pretty damn good. Speaking of underground locations, we're possibly going to see a lot more of them, like you can see from these screenshots. Then we have the Tower of Zardas, which looks way better in this version. It has a lot more rooms and magical gadgets, and this place actually looks like a tower now. Or how about this particular video that perhaps teases the new joinable side faction we mentioned before? That's just a wild guess, but I think it makes sense. There's a house in Montera, a house for shady characters. That's the description of the video. So Thieves Guild probably. That would be very cool to see, especially because it seems like that was supposed to be a feature in Gothic 3 anyway. You could find a couple of major thief characters and some of them would even give you a specific quest to steal some stuff. It always seemed to me like this was supposed to be a much bigger feature. I mean, Gothic 2 had a Thieves Guild, so it was logical to expect something similar in the sequel. So I'm definitely very excited to see more info about this feature. Now for some random stuff we know about this project. There is a video about the follower AI and how improved it is in the CSP. The AI for the followers was always really bad in Gothic 3, up to the point where I don't even want to have a follower. CSP tries to fix this, as we can see in a couple of examples here, especially when it comes to engaging in a fight. I guess we can expect a lot of smaller improvements like this. CSP will approximately have 140 new weapons and obviously a lot of new armor sets, but I couldn't find the exact number. There are a lot of screenshots of new weapons and armors, and we can also see some of them in various clips. For example, this giant polearm looks amazing, as well as the armor set from the screenshots. The armor set seems to be a variant of light armor from Normarians, if I'm not mistaken. But what really caught my attention is the Water Mage robe, which looks absolutely amazing. CSP team seems to be very respectful with new models and assets. All of this looks like it was supposed to be in the game in the first place. Unfortunately, we won't get any voice acting for new dialogue and NPCs. This was to be expected because, like I already mentioned before, the CSP team is not being funded. However, it is possible that a separate or a completely new team takes care of that, which would be amazing to see, or hear I guess. The CSP team has plans to translate the project to English, Polish, Italian and Russian. And I guess we can expect to see an English version on the release dates. And what about the release date itself? Well, we still don't know exactly. To be honest, I'm just glad to see that this project is still very much alive and being worked on. And yeah, it's been almost 13 years since the project got announced, but CSP has the potential to be something incredible, so I'm gladly going to wait for the official release. I will closely follow the development of CSP and inform you of any major updates in the future. I'm very happy to announce that I became affiliated with GOG, which means that you can usually get a big discount on every game I cover in my videos. Currently, the whole Reason series is on a huge discount if you use my code CLICK4REASON. This deal ends on September 10th, by the way. You can also pick up Gothic 3 on GOG, which comes with a pre-installed latest community patch. You can find all the links in the description. But if you want to support my channel more directly, I also have a Patreon and YouTube membership, where even the smallest support means a lot. But hey, the best way to support the channel is still free by liking the video, subscribing to the channel and maybe sharing the video with your friends. Big thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon and YouTube members, and big thanks to Hero Wars for sponsoring the video. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.